Dana White is in some serious hot water right now. He got into a little altercation with his wife over New Year's, a little slap fest, and the media and the internet is going bonkers about whether Dana White should be canceled, fired from the UFC, resign, or whatnot. Let's analyze this for a moment, shall we? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Dana White and the little slapfest incident that him and his wife got into on New Year's. For those that don't know, Dana White is the president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, also known as the UFC, and he has an estimated $500 million net worth. They also have 3 children together and have been married for 30 years. A few days ago, the TMZ released a video. It was Dana White and his wife Ann were at a nightclub, and you'll see from the video right here, she seems upset, and he grabs her, gets trying to talk to her. We don't know the context really. That's just the clip that the TMZ put out, and she slaps him. Clearly, she's upset about something. She doesn't look from the slap that it's gonna hurt him or anything like that. It's like a little kind of like when someone disrespects you, kind of like a how dare you type of slap. That's what I see. And he fires back. Now again, he's not trying to knock her out, but he reacted at that moment, and he comes down with a slap. So it's obviously harder than her slap, and he goes for a second one too. But what I see here, though, I see a woman who's I don't see a victim. First of all, she clearly is not afraid of him. Whatever was going on, whatever's been going on, she had absolutely no fear to slap him. And even when the scuffle happens, you see she's fighting back. She probably knows some MMA too, by you can see the way she's grappling with the arms, a little sticky hands going on there. She's not afraid of him. It didn't look to me like this is a woman that's a victim. Again, we don't know, but I see a strong woman there that was not afraid to stand up to the situation. Now, was it right for her to slap her husband? Me personally, no. I don't buy into that type of violent response to an argument. It should never go that way. That's just me. There are some cultures that that's normal. There are some families where this does happen. There are. I don't personally like it, but this is what we're seeing. Could Dana White have done something different? Dana White has been known to come out and basically stand up against domestic violence, and no man should ever put his hands on a woman, that no one can bounce back. No man could bounce back from putting their hands on a woman. That's been known. In his public response to this, he even points that out. I'm going to read what he told the TMZ in just a minute. But these situations, when they happen, it looked to me like it was a shock for both of them. Clearly, they had a lot to drink. I've seen things like that. You see things like that in nightclubs all the time. People are just having too much to drink and tempers flare, and they start with that bullshit. He didn't knock her out. He didn't hit her with a closed fist. It wasn't like that. Still, shouldn't have gone that way. He's a much bigger man. He's much stronger than her regardless. It's not good to see something like this. It doesn't look good when that's your wife and that's what's going on. But at the same time, it doesn't look good when the wife is slapping the husband either. That just doesn't look good. And I can assure you, the internet would be buzzing completely different had he just taken it. Had he pulled it Captain Jack Sparrow, for instance. I mean, what would Captain Jack Sparrow do in a situation like that? And he's known to get slapped all the time, whether he deserves it or not. And he just takes it. He just takes it. So could Dana White have learned from Captain Jack Sparrow? Can he learn from Captain Jack, can I even say his name right? Captain Jack Sparrow. Sure, we all could, but that's not what happened. He reacted. He reacted with more violence, and it got caught on camera. And when something gets caught on camera like that, that's it. All bets are off because everybody's going to be speculating. We don't know the context. All we see is the violence. And we think, oh, if that's what happens out there, what's actually going on at home? And we assume, oh, this is probably not the first time this has happened. We don't know. All we know is what we're seeing here and whatever experience we bring to the situation. For those that have been in an actual domestic violence situation, this video, that little clip, is triggering. And even for men or women, you see your wife, does your wife or girlfriend beat you up? Does your husband or boyfriend beat you up? Is this the type of stuff that goes on every time you guys get into an altercation? How do you handle it? Does it get really escalated where the police are involved? You see, in this case, as of today, there's no police, there's no filing for divorce, there's no domestic violence charges, there's no allegations. They handled it as a family. They're public figures. Obviously, Dana White is a public figure, and he gave his statement. His wife gave the statement too. They've apologized to each other. They're handling this as a family. They want their privacy. They ask that we respect the privacy, but the media doesn't do that, and they just want to condemn the man. And again, had he not hit her back, had he pulled a Captain Jack Sparrow, what would people be saying about that relationship now? Now they would be saying, oh wow, Dana White's woman abuses him. Dana White, president of the UFC, can't handle his woman. Oh, what a toxic relationship. What a toxic marriage that is. No matter what, when something like that gets captured and gets pumped onto the internet, you can't win. And it's not a pretty sight. It's just not a pretty sight. So this is what Dana White had to tell the TMZ immediately after the incident. Dana White says, I'm in Cabo, Mexico for the holidays with my family and my wife, and I were out with family. I should say I were out with family. I mean, the grammar problems start already. I was out with family on New Year's Eve, and unfortunately that's what happened. I'm one of the guys you heard me say for years, there's never ever an excuse for a guy to put his hands on a woman. And now here I am on TMZ talking about it. My wife and I have been married for almost 30 years. We've known each other since we were almost 12 years old. We've obviously been through some shit together, but we've got 3 kids, and this is one of those situations that's horrible. I'm embarrassed, but it's also one of those situations where we're more concerned about our kids. We have 3 kids, and obviously since the video popped up, we've shown the kids the video, and we're more focused on our family right now. People are going to have their opinions on this. Most of the people's opinions will be right, especially in my case. You don't put your hands on a woman ever. My wife and I obviously love each other. We've been together for a very long time. We've known each other since we were very little, and this is just one of those unfortunate situations. There was definitely a lot of alcohol, but there's no excuse. I'm literally making no excuses for this thing at all. It's never happened before. It's the first time that it's ever happened. And people are going to say what they're going to say. It is what it is. And whatever people do say, it's deserved. I deserve it. It happened. I don't know why it happened, and my wife and I have apologized to each other. We've apologized to our kids. And this is one of those things that everyone is going to chime in on. I could care less what people think about this. We're more concerned about our kids and taking care of our family. And you know what? Dana White seems like a stand-up guy. And I like this response. He's taking responsibility for what happened. He's not going around. He doesn't even mention that his wife slapped him first. He's not even saying that. That's what a coward would say. But he's not even saying that. He's not saying that she provoked him. She's not saying that she disrespected him in public at a nightclub with everybody watching on New Year's. He's not saying none of that. He's owning up to it. Does that excuse the behavior? Obviously not. But it's a first step. It's a first step, and it sounds, once again, like they're handling this as a family. This doesn't sound like something that has a history of domestic violence abuse and police and charges and trials and allegations and convictions, or none of that. This is one of those situations that happens, and had it not been for the fact that it got captured on a cell phone and blasted to the internet, probably nobody would even be talking about it. This is what Dana White's wife, Ann, had to say in her public response. She goes, Dana White and I have been married almost 30 years. To say this is out of character for him is an understatement. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Unfortunately, we were both drinking too much on New Year's Eve and things got out of control on both sides. We've talked this through as a family and apologized to each other. I just hope people will respect our privacy for the sake of our kids. Look, she didn't have to make a public statement. She didn't have to. Like I said, Dana White has a net worth of over $500 million. She is well taken care of. If she wanted to file some sort of domestic violence charge, abuse, report, file for divorce or whatever, she has more than enough money to get the best attorneys on the case. If she really wanted to, if this was some serious domestic abuse going on, and this is like the last straw, this is like, well, it's been going on all this time, nobody knew, but now there's evidence, now I'm pressing charges, she could. Because now there's evidence, it's captured on video, it happened. But that's not what's going on. That's not what's going on. And I'm not in no way trying to downplay what we're seeing in this video, but you do have to realize how that, I mean, I've seen so much toxic shit. That, if that's all that happened, a little petty slap on her side, a little retaliation by his side, a little scuffle, whatever, and it was over, and this is the way they handled it. If that was it, compare that to being in a toxic relationship with a psychopath or a narcissist that's abusing you psychologically, that's keeping you hostage, that's playing with your emotions, playing with your feelings, with your reality, lying behind your back, cheating on you, emotional abuse, because you know they say the wounds heal, but the psychological trauma, that doesn't. That takes a lot of work. That takes a lot of work. And it's unfortunate that you can be caught up with a narcissist or a psychopath that also crosses the line. And there's also domestic violence abuse and physical abuse, not just the psychological shit. There's also the physical. And you know what most victims of that come out and say? The wounds healed. I would have been okay if it was just that. It's the psychological stuff that really messed me up. You know? And again, that's not to downplay this situation. That's not to downplay it at all. But what I like about this is that there's no hashtag #MeToo bullshit. There's no allegations going on. He's owning up to what he did. She actually mentioned that things got out of control by both sides. So she's actually admitting that it was out of control by both sides. Like she's owning up to her part too. I like that. I like that. Hopefully, this doesn't happen again. Hopefully they can learn that, hey, alcohol leads to tempers flying and a loss of control. Because I'm willing to bet that had they not been drinking, whatever disagreement they were having, which may have been triggered by the alcohol itself. Because when you're drinking, and when you're drinking excessively and you're partying, You lose your inhibitions, your cognition, all that stuff goes out the window. God knows what they were beefing about, because if you see a little bit before the video, they were in a good place. It seemed they were happy. And then it skips to when the altercation started. And it was like a night and day thing. God knows what he said to her. God knows what she said to him, how they perceived it under the influence of alcohol. And then tempers flared and she felt disrespected. And it's like, how dare you? Bam! Probably would not have happened if they weren't drinking. And I'm pretty damn sure if he wasn't drinking, he probably would have had a little more restraint. Even though Jack Sparrow's always drunk and he had restraints, I mean, if he could do it, Dana, you could have done it too. But I understand these things happen when you get hit in the face. You react and you do stuff. But that's your wife. You're a bigger man. That's the mother of your children. You get put in a situation like that, and how do you win? You know, what could we learn from a situation like this? If you're really going through, and when I mean really, I mean you're going through real domestic abuse behind closed doors, where there isn't footage like this, and it isn't triggered by you slapping your wife or your husband. God forbid. Hopefully you guys are not slapping your wives after an altercation. But if you're the woman, if you're the victim here, and your husband or your boyfriend is just beating you, and it happens time and time again, see, that's a situation where you do have to press charges. That is a situation that you need to run from. That is a situation that's serious and you got to get out of. This thing that we're seeing here, as usual, the media just blows it up. It's not to say that it's okay. It certainly doesn't look good on either of them, but it looks worse on Dana. It's always going to look worse on the person that retaliates. That's just how it is. In sports, someone hits you, the ref doesn't see it, the guy hits you back, and they get the technical, and they get the ejection. You know? It's always going to look worse on the second person, because the second person, it's easy. It's very easy to be sitting here and be like, oh, Dana, you should have just not done anything. Very, very easy. Oh, he should have acted this way and just brushed it off and been a gentleman about it. It's like, you have to understand, you're in a nightclub with music, trashy music, blasting. All this low vibration energy there, just pumping your brains with that stuff, right? You're drinking, you got all those spirits in you. You get disrespected like that, you get slapped. I'm sure Anne is thinking to herself, what the hell have I done? Like, why did I do that? And again, it takes me back to what I said at the beginning of the video. She's not a victim. She's not afraid of Dana. I like that. I like that. And that's why, in my opinion, you know, I'm speculating as well, but because of what I saw, I see a strong woman that's not afraid of this guy. I don't see a woman that's being domestically abused, who's walking on eggshells, who's afraid of her abuser. That's not what I see here. I see someone that is like, what did you say? Bam! And just did that. And he was like, what the fuck? Bam! That's what I saw. And they both started, you know, just doing the little things with their hands, right? Like siblings do. They've known each other since they were 12 years old. I would imagine they play fight all the time. And now it got a little escalated and it looks terrible. I hope that it stays there. I hope that they do resolve this as a family. I hope they both learn from this situation, that it's like, hey, you know what? We both crossed the line here. Let's make sure this doesn't happen again. What do we have to do to avoid things getting escalated to a violent place? Because Dana White is a public figure and you have to lead by example. And that's why the internet is a buzz right now. That's why. Because they feel like, hey, he needs to be punished. Dana White needs to be canceled. He needs to resign. He needs to get fired. He's a family man. You want him to lose his job. Like, don't you want him to support his family? Like, that's not what the wife wants. But everybody has an opinion. I have my own opinion too. Is it the right opinion? It's an opinion. It's not right or wrong. I do feel that they should handle this as a family if it stays there, if it's true that this has never happened before, because that's what both parties are saying. Remember, both parties could do what they need to do if there was abuse. She has every right to come out and expose the truth if there was some truth to be exposed here. But she's holding on to the story. She's more than well off. She can get any attorney she wants. There's evidence. So if she's not coming forward with anything, maybe there's nothing to come forward with. And we'll see. Maybe things change, because things change all the time. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. It doesn't seem like that's the case. And I also like how Dana's taking ownership for this. And I would imagine, as a public figure, as a father, as a husband, he's probably going to do a lot more to make amends to his wife. I know some of you are going to say, oh, Kita, but she slapped him first. What the hell? Yeah. Yeah, that's true too. That is true too. True too. But you know what? Dana has to be the one that steps up here. He's got to be, he's a public figure. Okay, he's the father, he's the husband. You know, she's not going to knock him out. So I hope that he's able to make amends to her. And yeah, obviously, I think she should also try to make amends to her husband and to the father of the kids. I hope the children understand what's going on. Remember, they're witnessing this in the household. They know what's up. You know, and I just hope when people see something like this, they can differentiate between a situation where, like, if Dana was really an abuser, he would be throwing his wife under the bus right now and claiming all this other stuff. But he's not. He's owning up to it. He's owning up to it. And I like that. I really do. Because, you know, narcissists, psychopaths, abusers, they're not capable of doing that. They're incapable. They really are. And there's something uncanny when they try to be the bigger person. There's just something uncanny. You can tell it's just bullshit. And I honestly, at least from what I'm seeing and from the work that I do, I don't see any dishonesty in Dana's statements. I don't see it. If more information comes out later, then I will have to make another video. Maybe I'll have to retract everything that I've just said. But for now, this is what we have. This is my analysis on it. Feel free to drop your opinions in the comment section, how you guys look at this situation, what you really think went on, how you perceive it. If you're really going through some sort of physical domestic violence yourself, and you feel safe to talk about how it started. Because remember, if this could also be the beginning of something, I almost forgot to say, let's hope that this is where it ends. But this, for both of them, is a huge red flag. This is like one of those things that you got to stamp in your relationship and be like, okay, on this date, we crossed the line and we took it to this level. That's a no-no. That right there, that's like huge. I can understand they're not going to destroy their 30-year relationship over this. Again, you saw it. It's not like she came at him with a chainsaw and he knocked her out with a bat. It wasn't like that. But you can't dismiss it. You have to look at the fact that it did happen and pay very close attention and be like, okay, see, if this happens again, now it's really a problem, because now it's a repeat offense. That's when it starts to become a pattern. And that's the part, if anything, that's the part that I'm worried about. I hope we don't have to hear in a few months that something like this happened again, because if that's the case, then that ship is sinking, and I hope they do what they need to do to stop that abuse and to get out of that situation before it escalates. But right now, we're only talking about it because it's a public figure, and A lot of people have been asking me, hey, did you see that? What do you think? Oh, blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, this is what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. All right, that's it for today. My name is Kira. This is Psychopath Exposure, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.